Great afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Conquering Through the Crisis. I am your host, Lamont Gwynn, and you are here because you believe, like I do, that when challenges come up in our lives, when crises come up in our lives, when situations come up in our lives that can seem difficult, that instead of just coping through it, we conquer. And I am really, really excited about our theme for today's show: being a blessing brings blessings. And this gentleman who I'm going to introduce you to, his name is Jason Alderman. He is a father, he is a real estate agent, he is a retired Marine. But more importantly, when you hear his story, you will understand that he is a blessing. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome Jason to the show. Thank you for joining me, Jason.
Thanks for having me, Lamont.
I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you taking time out your schedule to join me. So let's go a little bit back to your origin. You grew up with parents who were missionaries. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So mom and dad are originally from Central Florida here, and they joined New Tribes Mission at the time. It's now Ethnos 360, and um, I was born while they were in Bible school in Michigan. Um, so yeah, I was 3 years old when we went to Indonesia in '79,
Hmm.
and I spent 15 years there growing up, halfway around the world, and consider myself very fortunate to have experienced, their culture, and also having the opportunity to be able to travel the world.
Wow. So what was most appealing to you in living in Indonesia as a 13, 14, 15-year old?
Oh man. So my where I grew up, I lived in the foothills. We had a 9,000 foot mountain behind us,
Hmm.
and a rapid river running beside the house. You know, when people talk about going out and not coming home till the street lights come on, we didn't have street lights. But yes, I would do that. We would leave. I couldn't believe that my parents would be like, "Okay, have a nice day," and we would go climb the mountain. And so having that opportunity, and then growing up where I did, we were fairly close to the ocean as well, with phenomenal dive spots. The coral reefs. Just it was an experience that yeah, I miss growing up there. I haven't been back in a very long time, and one of these days I'm going to take my family back there.
Awesome. Awesome. So you are a ex-Marine, and you spent like 22 years, if I got that right, 22 years in the military.
22 years, 7 months, 7 days.
Wow. And you've had, I want to say, five different tours.
Correct.
Five different tours. Can you talk a little bit about your military career?
Sure. Yeah, so obviously, when I graduated from high school, I came back to the States, and I was living with my grandparents in Leesburg, and I attended Lake Sumter. It was community college back then. I think it's state college now, and did that for 6 months, and then decided this is not what I want to do, and so I joined the Marine Corps. Talking or telling my parents that what I had decided. Obviously, they were very concerned, and but they were like, they supported me, which was all I could ask, of them. And so yeah, I joined in January of '95, and after I finished all of my training, I of course my first duty station was Okinawa. So
Mm.
right away I'm traveling back overseas again, and so I'm loving life. And I was on a ship. I was on the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, and we would travel around Australia, Hong Kong, Korea, just all over the Southeast Asia. And so, of course, being a Marine, I wanted to, as things were, um, the world was a little unstable at the time. It was, with Kosovo and Serbia, Bosnia, all that, stuff was going on. And so in the late '90s, that was actually my first combat tour, was into Kosovo, and that was a very quick deployment. I think we were there maybe 3 months, and a peace treaty was signed, and we came back to the states. Um, we I married my wife in 2000, so she joined. I'd already been in for 5 years, but when she came aboard, she thought she knew exactly what she was getting into, but little did she know, how hard it was going to be. And so we had children right away, and it was very, very difficult. I was a recruiter at the time, very, very long hours. I was recruiting in Warner Robins, Georgia. Um, and then I was on recruiting duty during 9/11.
Mm.
And I really wanted to get out there to the fight, to get back to my brothers and sisters in arms. However, that wasn't my job at the time, and so I put in close to 100 young men and women into the Marine Corps, and a lot of them, most of them, all had combat tours, but they were just so. I couldn't be prouder. I'm still in touch with quite a few of the guys that I put in, actually, and because I recruited differently. I didn't lie. I apologize for my
That's fine.
my dogs. Um, but yeah, so I'm still very, very close with some of the ones that I put in the Marine Corps. We're lifelong friends, and but I still really wanted to deploy. Um, and when I came off of recruiting duty in 2000, it was May of 2000. Checked into my next duty station was at Camp Pendleton, California, and my unit was already in. They were doing their workups, getting ready to deploy, and so yeah, I was like, hey, I want to go, and did all my pre-deployment training. My parents actually came home from Indonesia to visit me prior to deployment. So this is in October of, I'm sorry, this was September of 2004. And so my parents spent 2 weeks with us in California, and then they came back to Florida. That was Hurricane Francis was coming through Florida, and my mom wanted to get back here to ride the storm out with my grandparents. Um, September 6th, everything that was a Labor Day, everything was the storm had gone through. My parents and my grandparents had gone out for coffee, and um, we were packing our stuff up. I was supposed to leave September 13th, and my wife calls me and says, where are you at? You need to come home. So I'm thinking, oh, she's just, she's gonna miss me as I get ready to deploy. Well, I got home and she's like, you need to sit down. There was a car accident and your dad didn't make it. I
Oh,
was like, what in the world? So I immediately called my chain of command, and I told them, hey, I want to do this. I still want to deploy, but I need to go home and take care of mom, help mom out. So I did. Came back, was here for 2 weeks, helping with funeral arrangements and things like that, and then flew back out to Camp Pendleton and was awaiting a flight in country. By this time, my unit had already deployed. They deployed without me, and I was going to be catching up with them. Um, and so I just celebrated my birthday, October 8th, and then on the 9th, I flew in country, and I was on one base for 4 days, getting ready to fly over into Fallujah, and the flight went fine. Woke up, and that day It was um, October 17th, right around noon time, that I was on base and some IDF, some indirect fire happened, and I had a 122 millimeter rocket hit 10 feet to the right of me
Wow.
and was critically injured. Um, so again, I was I was very upset. Um, I was concerned for mom. I didn't know if I was dying, but thinking, man, we just lost dad a month ago. Now me. I was like, my wife is gonna kill me. I told her I was gonna be okay. And then, yeah. So God had other plans. Um, yeah, it was very unfortunate. There was a Marine right behind me who lost his life, um, and another that ended up losing both his legs. So of course that was very hard to deal with. Um, but got back to the states, spent about 9 months recovery, and I noticed my unit was deploying again. I saw the deploying roster. I went to my boss. Why don't I see my name on the list? And he said, you better go home and check with mama on that one. um, so I went home and I told her what I wanted to do, and she said, I figured, I married a Marine. So, um, yeah, did all the workups again and deployed back to Iraq in 2006.
Wow.
Um, and this time I made it 2.5 months in, and I developed. I was medevaced again. I had some fluke thing happened, and I developed a corneal haze, and I couldn't see during low light conditions. So they medevaced me out again. I had to have surgery on my eyes. And so I'm like, man, I am never volunteering again, because every time I do, something goes wrong. So yeah, I didn't deploy again until 2009. Didn't go back to Iraq, but I did 2009 and then 2011 in Afghanistan. Um, so yeah, they were, after being injured in '04. We as Marines, I think people in general, but Marines especially, you have a feeling of invincibility,
Mm.
and that was taken away after the attack. Not only for myself, but then for my wife and the rest of my family as well. And I can remember, I my kids were real young at the time, and I told my son, when I got back, I said, "Hey, I'm going to work." And for him, when I left to go on deployment, I told him I'm going to work, and so he gets very scared and he comes over and he wants to hug me, and I'm like, don't worry, buddy. I'm not getting shot at here. um, so all of those things started building up for me, and um, missing a lot of birthdays and holidays, and it started to take its toll. I love what I did in the Marine Corps, but 2015, my wife was she asked me if I would retire, and so I told her, let me said, give me a year. Let me when I drop my retirement papers, give me a year so my unit can find my replacement. But figured they had gone through enough, with the uncertainty, and you know, um, so yeah, I figured it wasn't. She had gone through 17 years of Marine Corps life with me. The hardest job in the Marine Corps is a military spouse. Um, and she was there for me. She nursed me back to life. Um,
Yeah, that's
had
good.
me had me get help when I went, was going through depression after being injured. And yeah, has been there through thick and thin.
So, if no one's told you today, I want to be the first, hopefully, to tell you thank you for your service. Because oftentimes, my grandfather was in the military. I am not close to, I don't understand the life of someone in the military, and believe that's only those who um, who live that life can understand it. And many folks don't realize, even after injury, the sacrifice that people make for this country with their lives. And just thank you. Appreciate that. Um, let's, so you left the military.
Mhm.
Now you're a real estate agent. But the two things that really drew me to wanting to get you on the show is first, and just hearing your story. You There have been crises in your life, and much like a lot of people, we've all dealt with crises,
Mhm.
and how we get over them is the key. And we're going to talk a little bit about how you are now helping people get through crisis when they come back through your work with the Camaraderie Foundation. But in addition, what's the second point I was going to make? And I'm not going to stop recording. The second point I was going to make is, well, you know what? Let's go there. Let's talk about your work as a- that's what I was going to say. You're a real estate agent.
Mhm.
You also help people in the way that you handle your business or do your business as a real estate agent. Can you talk a little bit about how you help those who are first responders and veterans of the military?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. When I retired, I took almost a whole year off and just was present for my kids and was able to take my kid. My son played soccer and was able to take him to his games. That was my favorite part of the day, was being able to go to his practice and watch. But after about a year, my wife's like was kicking me out, said you need to go you need to go do something. And I had been thinking about what I want to do. I could have taken what I learned in the Marine Corps and gone and got another, um, you know, um, federal position as a GS employee. Working, I was looking at, going to Tampa and working on base there, and but I just wasn't really. My heart wasn't in it. My wife's like, just go to the post office, and I'm like, no, I can't. I can't do that. I have to you know I have to feel like I'm contributing. I have to have a purpose in my life, and not downplaying any of those jobs, because yeah, being able to provide for your family is a blessing any way you look at it. But for me, I just felt like I had to continue to serve and to help other people. So um, yeah, I thought real estate would be good. um, I have a heart to help people who, especially guys that are dealing with PTSD. I can understand them. Having gone through injuries and getting back to full duty, I understand what they're going through, and I wanted to be able to, show them they had somebody here if they didn't have anybody else. So I just started, once I became a realtor, I started networking in all of the veteran, or the local veteran groups. There's still others that there's so many that I just had to kind of pick and choose what I thought was going to be the most beneficial. So um, I joined an organization called the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses. Um, I also found out about an organization called the Camaraderie Foundation. And the interesting thing is the founder is the same person for both organizations.
Mm,
Um, but the Camaraderie Foundation, they have a program, excuse me, called the Mentor Leadership Program. And what they do is they take transitioning service members and they introduce them to the community through different educational series. It's a year-long program, and they partner you up with two mentors in the community, preferably with in the like industry. So I had a lender and an estate planner who were my mentors, and it was such a great experience because they were able to help me through any questions that I had in relation to my field, but also in the community in Orlando. And you know, it was such a great opportunity. I was very blessed after going through that. The Camaraderie Foundation, they said, well, hey, we're gonna give you a scholarship to go to Leadership Seminole. So I'm
Mm,
currently in Leadership Seminole right now as well. Um, and my whole thought process is to connect with leaders in the community who can be of help to me as I'm looking to help veterans, and they can point me in the right direction. And but when you get to know, I don't want to name drop anybody, but different mayors and different you know other supervisor of elections, people that have some authority in the local community, and a lot of them are veterans themselves. They understand, and they can we can help each other. um, Another thing that I love about the Camaraderie Foundation, the first and foremost thing that they do is they provide counseling to the post 9/11 veterans and their families dealing with PTSD, because not only when the individual is going through it, um, the family is going through it as well. Um, yeah, I mean, my kids could probably use some counseling as well. There were times I was probably not the nicest person to deal with. Um, and so, yeah, unfortunately, sometimes you don't take it out on people you work with, but you come home and you bring that stuff home. So I really appreciated what they did because it was exactly what they're already doing is what I wanted to help with. So what I do is when I'm getting to know these veterans and I'm taking them around, showing them homes or whatever, we're developing a relationship. We're becoming friends, and if they want to get help, then I can point them in the right direction. If they're not ready, because sometimes it's perceived as a weakness, when you're reaching out for help, then call me. 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't care. Call me. The 22 a day veteran suicide is very real. Last Thursday, just had another one of my Marines that I served with committed suicide. So
wow.
it hits very close, um, and I want to be able to help guys. So this last year, I mean, I'm only in my second full year of real estate, but I really so let me back up a little bit. So I do rebates for veterans. It's not a lot, but it helps pay for some of their closing costs. And it depends on the price point of the home, but it might be $700. It might be $2,000. To go to their closing costs. And like I said, it's not a lot, but it's appreciation from me to them. Um, and So then when I get my check, I've pledged to the Camaraderie Foundation that for this year I'm going to donate $2,000. So I base my check. I give them 2.2% of that based off the 22 a day that commit suicide. And because I'm only my second year in, my dream would be that one day business is successful and I can donate 22% of my check to them, um, because right now it's $2,000 for one veteran family member to receive counseling. And so that's my goal for this year is to donate $2,000, and next year is 5,000. And um, I don't know where that money is going to come from because whenever it's through the business. So when I'm helping individuals, then I'm able to give back. And I have had people tell me that as a realtor I give away too much money, and I shake my head and I'm like, I'll always continue to do that. Um, and I'm because I'm very blessed. I mean, and the more money that I can make, the more I can give, and the more I can bless, and the more I can save lives.
Beautiful, beautiful. Now let's talk about your blessings, because when I called you for this interview and I wanted to kind of figure out like how is your family coping now, how is your family conquering through this crisis, right? And I was just amazed at how your response to that. So talk about, you have two teenage children, your wife and you. So how are you all making out in a time where people are losing their jobs or people have been furloughed? What's happening in your home?
And again, we're very blessed, and I'm not taking discounting anything. For I went through a lot. It wasn't a lot to me. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But I'm able to receive my pension, so I'm still getting a paycheck, and so the way if I can help other people, if through the buying or selling of real estate, obviously we're going to do that. But then, oh yeah, we love to eat, and we haven't let that stop us, and so we're continuing to we almost once a day we're ordering out, and takeout and delivery, and um, but being able to give, we don't give any less than 20% to the person that comes and drops it off. And some people are like, oh, they didn't do much. Well, yeah, they're suffering right now, is just like everybody else. And I have other friends who have other businesses that if we can utilize them, then we're helping them, through printing, you know and as many ways as we can. We're trying to give back. And my wife is, she's a nurse, so she is out there, every day. She still continue to go to work, and it's she's my hero. But yeah, so what I love is, so I have three kids actually. My older two, I have a senior in Oviedo. He'll graduate here in just couple weeks, I guess. And then my older one, they're both going to be going to UCF. I'm sorry, USF, in the summer. And they've continued to work as well. But what was the most one of the most prideful things for me is, there's a lot of, there's some homeless over here. I live in Sanford. There's some homeless, just as well as a lot of the different parts of the city and country. And I remember specifically, my daughter had gone out one day to go grab some food, and then she was late coming home. And when she came home, we're like, "What are you doing? What took so long?" She was like, "Oh, well, this, the guy on the side of the road, I gave him all of my food, and I had to go back and get more." So, that was really kind of a proud father moment, because just seeing her heart, um, wanting to help people as well. So, and that's just a little thing. There's other instances, but that's one that sticks out in my mind.
I love it because you've lived a life of service, and even after coming out of the military, you still serve. And in that service, you're not doing it for
Mm.
the blessing just comes. So, you know, um, not saying that folks who are struggling now is a result of some opportunity that where they did not do something good. That's not what we're saying. But still, living a life of service and helping others. I'm reminded of what Zig Ziglar said. You can have everything in life that you want if you will just help enough people get what they want. And being able to help people, if it's just feeding somebody hungry, or like what you do with the Camaraderie Foundation, helping those veterans with uh, PTSD. Am I saying that right? PTSD.
PTSD, yes.
Yeah, PTSD. All of that energy and focus that you put behind that, it does is come back to you. And I really appreciate your example, because your example is for, other people can follow that example. What I'd like to do is offer to put your information in the link below, and the link to the show, so
Mhm.
that folks can contact you if they want to be able to, uh, first, if they need to buy a house or know a veteran who needs to buy a house,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And secondly, if there's a veteran in their life that has some post-traumatic syndrome issues, that they can reach out to you, and you can do that introduction to the Camaraderie Foundation. And thirdly, if anybody wants to donate to the Camaraderie Foundation, that you would help facilitate that with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is something that I tell them in other networking organizations, and I tell people, yeah, if you got a veteran who, family members, somebody, they're transitioning out of the service and they're coming back here to the Orlando area, and they're looking to buy real estate. Obviously, hook them up. If but also if they don't need that, please still connect me with them, because I want to connect them to the community. I want to show them, how many there's a very large veteran community here in Central Florida, and having that support system and being able to rely on your brothers and sisters um, is is very important. But it's crucial for some people, because some of them, they're so bad they can't even leave their house. And knowing that there's others out there who just want to help them, um, but also that can relate to them, is very important. Um, and so, yeah, if they know somebody who, whether or not they have PTSD or not, but they have somebody who is in the service, I'd love for them to come out. I'm also in the Veterans Beer Club Orlando. That one's a really fun one. But we can help people get jobs. Through whether looking at Universal or Disney or EA Games. I mean, I know if I don't know somebody, I know somebody. I know a lot of other people who do know just about everybody here in Central Florida who can help. And if we need us to facilitate getting your resume out, we can't get you hired, but we can maybe get your foot in the door. Um, because it is about relationships and helping others. So yeah, real estate is, it obviously pays the bills now, but it's not the most important thing. And in January I became the vice chairman of FORFAVOB, Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses. And so, yeah, I would love to connect with any veteran here in the area who's either looking for a job or they're looking to network. I make it a habit I try to hire all of my vendors that deal with homes. I try to, have them be veteran-owned businesses, because I want to contribute back to the veteran and their family.
And then lastly, you said that you actually have, and it's never happened to you before, you actually have 3 listings right now, right?
um, well, I will by Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah. And like you said, it is blessings. I didn't want to get so busy because I wanted to be able to continue some of the nonprofit work. And so I'm not your typical realtor. I don't cold call. I don't door knock. but I do network through the veteran organizations. My business is all mostly is referral and by name, and God's blessing us, and I love it though because it allows me to give more back. So, but yeah, so I'll have 3 listings, and I'm everywhere. I got one in Merritt Island. He's an Air Force veteran. He's a doctor, so that's he's an oncologist actually, and so he's continuing his service. And I got another Marine veteran. We're going to list his house. Of course, I got to help Mom out. I got one of her, one of her listings as well. But she raised a Marine, so.
Well, awesome. I wish you all the best on that. And if you anyone in the audience, if you want to take a look at those listings, please reach out to Jason. We'll again provide his information in the link. Once again, I want to thank you for your service. I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, Jason, to do this interview. And for my audience, I'd like for you to please join me tomorrow, 12 o'clock noon. We're going to have a great conversation with a young lady who is a college grad, and she's actually had to make some changes in order to continue her course. The theme for tomorrow is conquering crisis by embracing change. So, oh, wait, I almost forgot. I almost forgot to end the show like I'm supposed to end the show. So here it is. Jason, there are 5 questions that I want to ask you. These are check-in questions. And for my audience, please use these check-in questions daily because they are very helpful. So here we go. Jason, 5 questions. The first question is, how are you feeling?
Well, I'm not nervous anymore. Uh, no, I know we keep saying it, but I'm blessed.
Awesome. What's not working?
Um, Feeling sorry for yourself and sticking your head in the sand.
Oh, beautiful answer. Love that. But what is working?
Following what God puts on your heart to help other people when you don't see things happen right away. Um, they come back around. I had a good friend of mine that told me it's mission over money.
Right,
Don't forget your mission.
right. I love that answer. And I usually don't interject, but it reminds me of the bamboo tree, 7 years of watering, and then it just grows.
Mhm.
So we don't do it for the blessing, but eventually it comes. Next question. What do you need?
Um, I don't think it's. I don't need anything. I need my family. I want them to be healthy and happy. But I don't need anything. A place over my head and some food. But um, I would love. I don't even need people to buy or invest in real estate. But if you could help me donate to camaraderie, that would be huge.
Awesome. What are you proud of?
Um, I'm very proud of my kids for who they're becoming. Very proud of my wife, and yeah, that's I don't. Yeah, is there anything?
Right, right. I get it. I get it. Last question. What can you let go of?
Hmm, I can let go of the monkey on my back who continues to whisper um, things that I'm only one person that I can't make a difference.
Mm. Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you, because this was such a real, I just love your real, honest, openness to this. And, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. To my audience, please come back tomorrow. And I'll end the show like I do. Jason, to you and to my audience, make it a great day.